It's the nigga 4 clips and I'm strapped with a Mac 10. OBG from the COMPTON. No, it's a must that I talk on it. Cause we got wannabe G's from the CPT. Like that bitch ass nigga EZE. Coming to my hood, wanna shoot a video. But what about your dead homies' funerals? You ain't a 10, so I recommend we just wish your ass up out of Compton. I choose to deal in this city, and my homies got love cause I feel no pity. So don't claim no more. 4 clips to break you off with that Trey 800. I guess it's kinda easy claiming this city so far away. Can't come take a drink with the homies as I bail through this city with a rep like Frank Nitty. Not giving a fuck cause y'all niggas can't fuck with us. Can these niggas fuck with us?
Hell no, cause they too soft.
Why they wanna be like us?
I don't know and don't give a fuck.
It's about that time to put your mic on the shelf. Easy E, aka the hip hop Keebler F. You ain't a cop to G, so how the fuck you gon' diss? Empty ring swung and miss with that same old shit. Don't come around the hub, you ain't want it. Don't try to phone it. You show off and get that ass broke off. Take a look. We all know that you ain't hard. You can't stroll through the park without your bodyguard.
Lord have mercy, all you go to hurt me.
Put up in that ass and give them a permanent Murphy ain't worthy, so back on up. And let Inglewood stack on up. To tell the truth, I don't really think you understand. You're coming up shoulder than a bullet, admitted in quicksand. Damn, you get the picture, you straight up stuck. We living dangerous, so you can't fuck with us.
Can these niggas fuck with us?
Hell no, cause they too soft.
Why they wanna be like us?
I don't know and don't give a fuck.
I'm coming out strong, hard like steel. Dissing motherfuckers with the base that I feel. Guilty of the city you disown. So bend over, red, cause it's time to bone, nigga. Now here's a shock of the hour. With your scary punk ass and them bean pies of sour. It's the same old shit every day and every night. And you get fucked up, so watch your back, that's right.
So pass the clip
and watch me spray that ass.
Pass the clip
and watch me lay that ass. No hope, you fucking joke. You can't cope with a nigga that's real with words. So motherfuck you ran and fuck what you heard. Don't panic, keep Atlantic out your mouth. Jockin' niggas hit you in the videos of Southside. Uzis, the 9, the ass is mine and Easy E. You done fucked up too. Fucking over Pat and Jim my fool. Give up the money, the cash and the bills. Before you wind up dead, a nigga that's real. A-D, see what I mean? Big money, Tweety, low in your worstest dream. Rolling, controlling, towing like a tow truck, dealing out dope, and I don't mean crack, cause I get up better high from watching my back, it's a must. Dangerous records, motherfuckers, y'all can't fuck with us.
Hell no, cause they too soft.
Why they wanna be like us?
I don't know and don't give a fuck. EZE, not only if you want it, but a real G about to put your ass up on it, bitch. Coming with that whack bullshit, that's why I probably drop your ass like a brick. Trip to shoot your video, you crept in the park. Get your shit and skate before it gets dark. Use some mark, saw it off at the knees. Freeze, say please, and I might let you leave with the breeze. That ass will get beat, can't drive your Benzo without your little car seat. So speak, if you got something on your mind. Running out of time, walking on the chalk line. I'm about to turn Lorenzo into a Loretta. Put your super soaker up against my 9 Beretta. Double header hitting 2 with 1 stone. Putty brush out the putty tat, now he's dead and gone.
Can these niggas fuck with us?
Hell no, cause they too soft.
Why they wanna be like us?
I don't know and don't give a fuck.
Can these niggas fuck with us?
Hell no, cause they too soft.
Why they wanna be like us?
Yeah, MC Ren, you punk ass motherfucker. 20 Vertlow coming at your ass with a 9-4, nigga. You can claim to be a Muslim all you like, nigga, but you ain't gonna throw a rock in a racial fight, bitch. Can't bust a grape with razor blade shoes on, punk. Yeah, nigga, you rather jack off with a grizzly bear than to fuck with me, bitch.
A new day in Oklahoma, thanks to Kevin Stitt. Stitt's next bold plan? Cut income taxes again. 0.5% now, and a path to get us to 0. Tell your legislators, support Kevin Stitt's Half and a Path plan.
You knew this morning, 2 suspects arrested following a police chase spanning from South Oklahoma City to Norman. Oklahoma City police spotted a stolen car and tried to make a traffic stop, and that's when that chase began.
And it didn't end until the driver and passenger bailed out in Norman near 24th and Brooks. With the help of a canine unit, the driver of the stolen car was arrested. Police were able to arrest the passenger by using a drone.
Well, we've just learned bird flu has been confirmed in Northeast Ohio. The Ohio Department of Agriculture tells News 5 the virus was found in a backyard poultry flock in Stark County. There were 5 birds infected and they were killed. This is the first flock in Northeast Ohio impacted in this outbreak in more than 2 years.
15 is tracking breaking news right now. A large police presence underway right now at a QT near 27th Avenue and Thomas. Our photojournalist Rick Levo on the ground right now. And we're also reaching out to police to see what exactly happened here. And if this feels familiar to you, it's for good reason, because on Friday morning, there was a deadly shooting at the same gas station. No word yet if these two incidents are connected, but we will stay on scene and continue to reach out to police to bring you any updates.
Police are asking for your help to solve an aggravated robbery. Officers say just after 9:15 in the morning, a man entered this Mickey's convenience store. Look at him there on the 3800 block of East End Studio. Oh my gosh, when he was dressed in a black hoodie, white face coverings, then he pointed a gun at the worker. He demanded vapes, and the man ran away with those products. If you recognize him or if you come across an unusual amount of vapes, please call the Killeen Police Department. 9 o'clock in the morning. Can't even go to the convenience store. My goodness.
And police say a fight between two people led to one of them shooting the other person. This was near 12th and Center Sunday morning. Investigators say 32-year-old Detroit Affusa shot 28-year-old William Chacon. Chacon is expected to survive. Affusa's in jail right now, facing multiple charges.
Taxes was paying the price.
This morning, a person has critical injuries after a shooting inside a mall food court. Jefferson County deputies tell us it happened at the Western Hills Mall around 5 o'clock last night. This is on Aaron Aronoff Drive in Fairfield. So far, there's no word on any arrests in the case.
Now to a crime alert out of Richmond, where police are investigating an overnight shooting. It happened around midnight in the 400 block of East Franklin Street. A man and a woman were shot, their injuries considered to be non-life-threatening. Police also say they do have a suspect in custody in this case.
And we could learn more soon about what North Providence police are calling a suspicious death. The Office of Rhode Island's medical examiner said to begin an autopsy today on a 41-year-old man. Chief Alfredo Ruggiero telling 12 News he was found dead on Saturday inside a recording studio on Humbert Street. Detectives say they found the man had concerning injuries, but they're not giving out any other information at this time.
Police are investigating a homicide in the Russell neighborhood. It happened near the Wendy's on West Broadway around 11:30 last night. Now, police say they found a man there who had been shot. He was taken to the hospital where he died. LMPD says detectives are still working to figure out what led up to this shooting. We do know no one has been arrested so far. Anyone with information is asked to call 574 LMPD.
On scene. Attack for command.
A pet store in Colorado is dealing with a bizarre rash of crime. Surveillance video has captured brazen thieves repeatedly stealing puppies from the store. In one instance, the manager says a man went as far as faking a seizure to create a distraction. The store has been the target of protests against retail pet sales, but the owners don't believe that's connected to the thefts. So far, one person has been arrested. You see the employees try to chase the man out of the store while he is literally dropping puppies on his way out. The store says it is increasing its security.
It's 11 p.m., and that means this Whataburger Honey Butter Chicken Biscuit is getting dressed up to hit the town.
We're following breaking news out of Lincoln, an officer-involved shooting. Right now we know no one was hurt, but as you can see in this live look, officers have the intersection of 48th and Holdridge shut down. That is in northeast Lincoln. We are expected to learn more from Lincoln Police later this morning. Again, no one hurt in this incident.
Our lead story this morning, high school students from across the area are uniting to take a powerful stand against youth violence. Bommarito Automotive Group Skyfox up over that march. It started at 9 this morning. The Movement Not Moment initiative was inspired by the tragic losses of Isis Marr, a student at Cardinal Ritter Prep College. She was shot and killed on October of 2021, coming home from work at an elderly care facility. 2 teens have been charged in connection with her death. The initiative is a year-long youth-led campaign. It's designed to empower young people to take responsibility for reducing violence. The march is just wrapping up now with a rally at Cardinal Ritter.
This afternoon, we're learning that a 24-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly killing a woman at an apartment on the near north side. You may remember that we told you about this last week. Police since have found 24-year-old Tyresha Gray inside an apartment on North Park Avenue. That discovery was in that apartment near East 16th Street. They went to the home after they got a call for a welfare check around 9 o'clock the night of February 16th. We were told that Gray was found there with injuries consistent with trauma. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say when they tried to arrest the 24-year-old suspect, he ran from officers, and as he ran, they say he had a gun in his hand. The man was captured and arrested for several things, including an active handgun warrant and preliminary charges of murder.
Cooper and I are very close. He actually just turned 16 with Fresh Pet.
This is WBTM 13. Breaking news is happening right now.
And we begin with some breaking news out of Fairfield this morning. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says that one man has died and another man was injured after shots rang out inside a Fairfield mall. Investigators say that around 5 last night, 2 groups of people were arguing in the Western Hills Mall food court. This led to gunfire. 32-year-old Darren Hall was killed. Police say he was an innocent bystander. A 21-year-old was also wounded. They were taken to the hospital. We don't know their condition this morning. No arrests have been made in this case.
Well, leading us off and happening in just a few hours, the trial begins for Jermaine Bass.
Yeah, he's the Hillsborough County man accused of shooting his 2 children and killing one of them. This was back in 2022. Hillsborough deputies say they were called to Bass's home. It was around 10:30 that night, responding to a shooting. They found Bass holding his 8-year-old son, saying he accidentally shot him. Deputies say Bass then told him his 5-year-old daughter was upstairs asleep in her bed, but when they got up there, they found the girl with gunshot wounds to the head. She died at the hospital. The boy survived. At one point, the death penalty was being considered in this case, but prosecutors recently withdrew that. This trial expected to take all week long. And Tampa Bay will be there every step of the way with the latest from the courtroom. You can follow all updates on this case anytime, 24/7 streaming on 10 Tampa Bay Plus.
We start today, this afternoon, with a man convicted of killing a Dutch Special Forces soldiers. The man accused has now been sentenced to 105 years in prison. It was just last month that the jury in the case found 22-year-old Shamar Duncan guilty of murder, attempted murder, and aggravated battery for shooting 3 Royal Netherlands Army soldiers here in Indianapolis in August of 2022. Duncan testified in court that yes, he fired at the soldiers who were standing outside their hotel after a disagreement with them. 26-year-old Simi Poitsima was killed in the shooting. Our 13 News team was in courtroom today for that sentencing that was handed down. We were also there for the verdict. We'll bring you more updates on this case today here on 13 News starting at 4 o'clock.
Why would I use Kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself. I can't trust anything else.
U.S. immigration officials launched a new round of enforcement operations in the Los Angeles area over the weekend. It's unclear how many people, if any, have been detained as part of those operations. CNN is reporting it's received word that immigration officials were planning a wave of enforcement operations to detain and deport people in L.A. According to video on social media, agents were sighted near downtown L.A. This follows recent ICE operations ordered by the Trump administration to detain people unlawfully living in Chicago and New York. Over recent weeks, we've seen large protests against the president's immigration orders across Southern California.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
After an 8-hour search, a possible suspect in a deadly stabbing is in custody this morning.
This all happened at an apartment complex near Northwest 22nd and Villa overnight and into this morning. KOCO Shelby Montgomery was there, and she's been following all the latest details. Shelby.
Good morning. I just spoke with Oklahoma City Police, who say that possible suspect was taken in for questioning, and at this time it's unclear if they will face any charges. Take a look. We were on scene as that woman was being taken out of the apartment complex. Just a few minutes before that, police did zero in on that apartment unit and evacuated several people who were also inside of it. Now, police say the stabbing happened around 10:15 last night, and that they found the victim when they arrived on scene at that same apartment where they found that possible suspect. That victim was taken to the hospital, and that's where they later died. At this time, we are still working on finding some more information about that possible suspect and the victim as well. Police say they're not releasing the name of the victim because they have yet to identify their next of kin. Reporting live at the police station, Shelby Montgomery, KOCO 5 News.
At Cox Mobile, we know you need reliable cell service that goes wherever you do. That's why we run on the network with more nationwide coverage than T-Mobile for a price you'll love.
A restaurant manager has been fired after police say she threw hot grease on customers. Surveillance video from a Florida Wingstop restaurant caught a heated conversation on camera. Customers in the establishment appear to be having a quickly escalating dispute with the manager who is behind the counter. Another Wingstop employee tugs at the manager's arm in an attempt to draw her away from the situation. But tempers continued to flare. That employee tried again to physically pull the manager back from the carryout window. The manager is accused of grabbing a bottle of ranch dressing and squirting it at the customers. Instead of ending the confrontation, the manager walked away and came back with a metal container that Port St. Lucie police say was filled with hot grease. Authorities say both customers had burns on their legs after the manager threw the hot liquid on them. The former manager was later arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse and aggravated battery. This is Inside Edition Digital.
We're continuing to follow that investigation, a shooting on the north side that left one man dead and another in the hospital.
Asal Razai reports now from the 24th District Chicago Police Department with the latest on that investigation.
We know one of those victims remains in the hospital in critical condition this morning. Chicago police still trying to piece together exactly what led to this shooting. Take a look. You can see crime tape stretching across the entire street on Damon near Birchwood Avenue. Several evidence markers on the sidewalk there as police investigate the scene. A nearby apartment window was even hit by a bullet. Police say a 31-year-old man along with an unidentified man were both found with multiple gunshot wounds just before 10 o'clock last night. The unidentified man was shot in the head and the neck. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. The 31-year-old man was shot in the chest and the leg. At last check, he was critical at St. Francis Hospital. Police say a witness saw 4 men running away from the scene on foot. This morning, we're working to find out more information about that victim who died. Chicago police still investigating this shooting. They say so far they've made no arrests. Reporting on the north side, I'm Asal Razai, CBS News Chicago.
Another morning to savor the crunchy nooks and cranny splendor of a Thomas's English muffin.
Tom, which is a nook and which is...
Ronnie, thanks for that. We want to get you to some breaking news from overnight in Cobb County. 2 people were shot Sunday night inside the Main Event Entertainment Center. Atlanta News First, Blake Devine is live in Cobb County for us. And Blake, what have police been saying about what all happened here?
Brooks, this shooting happened around 9 o'clock Sunday night here at Main Event, a popular place for people to hang out. They have a movie theater, restaurant, arcade, even a bowling alley. And people say that there was a lot of folks here last night. That's when gunshots rang out inside, as we heard reports that many people were running out into the parking lot, fleeing for cover when this all happened. Cobb County Police, they then showed up on scene, unable to find a suspect, although they immediately began treating the 2 people shot. Our cameras captured an hours-long investigation as it appears the crime scene stretched from the bar over to the game area. At this time, though, it's still unclear what led up to this violence, as police are still searching for suspects, and we still don't know the status of the two people that were shot. But back out here live in the parking lot, we've seen several cleaning crews hard at work, and it appears that they're planning on reopening. It normally opens up at 11 a.m. on Monday mornings, and all signs point towards a potential reopening here at the venue. Reporting live in Cobb County, Blake Devine, Atlanta News First.
All right, Blake. Let's get you back out to breaking news of a deadly stabbing in Oklahoma City overnight near Villa and Northwest 22nd Street. Good day, Oklahoma's Jameson Kiefover joins us live near the scene now. Jameson, what have you learned so far?
Well, Shelby, I just got off the phone with Oklahoma City Police. They still can't give us any information as to what is going on here. All we know so far is that overnight there was a stabbing at this apartment complex at Northwest 22nd and Villa. We know that person, that stab victim, died overnight at the hospital. But other than that, there's been no information on a suspect and who could be involved. Behind me is a large police presence. They've moved us back further and further away from the scene, at first telling us that we could be in the line of fire. So there's a big tactical team just beyond our view, and we saw several armed individuals with the tactical teams kind of going through this apartment complex, even evacuating some people. We saw them evacuate some young kids and adults earlier. And then about 15 minutes ago, we saw several tactical team members come down from the second story of this apartment complex. Not really sure if they had anyone in custody or exactly why they were all leaving, but we've seen crime scene investigators on the scene, several detectives, and they have this perimeter set up for about a block in front of this apartment complex, even not allowing people who live on this block to get back to their homes. So Oklahoma City Police says that they will hopefully have more information for us later, but when it comes to a suspect and who's responsible for this fatal stabbing, those are still unanswered questions that we have this morning. Reporting live for Good Day Oklahoma, I'm Jameson Kiefover.
78% of small businesses say their vendors offer poor customer support, but Patriot Software.
And we continue to follow our breaking news. The Hinds County Sheriff's Office mourning the loss of a deputy who was killed in the line of duty.
He's been identified as 37-year-old Martin Shields Jr. Investigators say he was responding to a domestic call. The Hinds County Sheriff's Department said a wife called in about a disturbance she was having with her husband last night. When Deputy Shields and another officer showed up to the scene, a suspect identified as 42-year-old Eric Brown started firing at the officers with a rifle. As the wife and another unidentified woman tried to leave the scene in a car, Brown started firing at them as well. As a result, the two women were injured and Deputy Shields was killed. Sheriff Tyree Jones was emotional as he shared the details of what happened, saying this is something he never wants to see happen.
This is something that you never want to do, to notify an officer or deputy or law enforcement personnel that their loved one won't be returning home from a tour of duty. Out here protecting the streets of Hinds County, responding to calls and responding to those in need of law enforcement. Our heart go out to his family, his loved ones, and the many lives that he touched.
The two women who were injured have been brought to UMMC and are in stable condition. At the latest information that we have, in the suspect, Brown, he was killed. The cause of his death is still under investigation. Sheriff Jones says Mississippi Bureau of Investigation will take over this situation at this time.
Good morning, Aaron and Joe. Investigators are saying that Deputy Shields was shot multiple times by an armed suspect. Now, the Hinds County Sheriff's Department says this all started around 7:30 p.m. when they were getting a call from a wife in Terry. She was having...
At Harbor Freight, we do business differently from the other guys. We design and test our own tools and sell them directly to you. No middleman, just quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love.
Tell your legislators, support Kevin Stitt's HAP and the PATH plan.
And we are following two breaking news stories as we come on the air this morning. Dallas police say a child is recovering after being shot last night, and the suspect is still on the run.
And in Garland, police investigating an officer-involved shooting there. We're told an officer was injured but expected to be okay. They are giving us a press conference right now. We're going to take you there live where we can listen in.
With gunfire from the suspect. While he was in the vehicle, this vehicle sustained gunshot, as well as he himself was shot in the vehicle. That officer was able to retreat and get to a safe location where he was transported to the hospital, and he is currently in stable condition. Additional officers responded to the scene and ultimately encountered the suspect near a house in the 100 block of West Wanda Drive, where he was shot by officers. The suspect was transported to a local hospital where he was later pronounced deceased. Understand this is a very active and fluid investigation. There's a lot of details that we're still trying to uncover. The investigation started in one location and went through different other locations, but ultimately ended up on West Wanda. So there's some things that I may not be able to discuss at this point in time because those details are still underway. This is a very tragic situation where an officer was shot. We believe this to be a very isolated situation where the suspect targeted the officers, and there's no further threat to the public. These investigations are very fluid. We work with our detectives as well as our professional standards units, as well as Dallas County District Attorney's Office in these investigations whenever there's an officer-involved shooting investigation. With that, I'll take some questions. Say that again.
Okay, that gives us more perspective there. We heard from Chris earlier saying there were two scenes, so a little clarification there as to why we're looking at multiple scenes in this shooting this morning.
But as far as what we know right now, that officer is okay. But again, the suspect dead, and Chris Sadeghi is on the scene, and he will continue to update us later on in the show.
Taxes was paying the price.
Caught on camera, a man viciously attacked in the middle of the street.
This happened after he confronted a group of teenagers on bikes. KTLA 5's Kimberly Chang live in Carthay with the details. Good morning, Kimberly.
Hi, good morning. And this was also a disturbing scene for the witnesses who were here, their cars blocked as this chaotic scene unfolded right behind me. One person started recording the incident. Take a look as this violence unfolded here in the middle of the street. This happened near San Vicente and Carrillo Drive in the Carthay neighborhood. That's on the border of Beverly Hills. The person who shot the video described it as a mob of kids on BMX bikes attacking cars and said a motorist got out to confront them, and that's when they attacked him. The video shows a large group kicking and beating a person while he's on the ground in the middle of the street in broad daylight. As I mentioned, this chaotic scene blocked drivers on the road, many frightened. LAPD said it happened around 4:30 p.m. Saturday. Police say the motorist suffered minor injuries and reported that the car was vandalized. Now, we spoke with a witness earlier. Take a listen.
Right as I got out of my car, one of the kids jumped on top of his Mercedes and smashed in the windshield. But it looked like it was a situation where he got out of the car to confront all these kids that were blocking traffic, and they all jumped on him. It was just an innocent guy that got out of his car, and they all swarmed him, and they were stomping his head. It was really hard to watch.
Wow.
But we got there, and by the time we got there, we were just there to offer help to him. And it took literally 30 minutes for the police to get there. Second largest city in America, and it takes the police 30 minutes to arrive. It is unacceptable.
And he said there were maybe 20 or more juveniles involved. Now, this is not the first time there's been a violent incident involving bicyclists and a motorist. In January, this video went viral after a Mercedes was seen going through a crowd of cyclists near Olympic and Rimpau in the nearby Mid-Wilshire area. That car was reportedly vandalized inside a parking garage. Detectives are investigating both incidents. It's not clear at this time if the same group was involved. Now, Councilwoman Katie Yaroslavsky, whose district includes this area, did send a statement saying in part, quote, "I'm deeply disturbed by the attack. My heart goes out to the young man who was assaulted and his family." She went on to say that while law enforcement has not indicated that they think this was a hate crime, any act of violence is unacceptable. Reporting live in the Carthay neighborhood, Kimberly Chang, KTLA 5 News.
Whataburger, please bring back the Monterey melt.
Yeah, unfortunately, a family is now having to grieve the loss of their very young loved one. Another family likely at the hospital where their loved one is fighting for their young life. It's the outcome of a double shooting that happened right there across the street in that parking lot at the mall in Columbia last night. A busy area where several people heard those shots. A busy shopping mall parking lot now marking the spot where two teenagers were shot.
Randomly, I hear pops, and it's not like fireworks, it was gunshots.
This man, who we'll call E, says he was waiting for a DoorDash in the parking lot at the mall in Columbia when he heard about 5 gunshots just before 6 o'clock Saturday evening.
I see a gentleman sitting at the bottom of the stairs, and he had like a wound to his neck, and his friend was holding the wound down, and they're trying to stop the bleeding.
Howard County Police say they charged 18-year-old Emerson Zaya for the shooting death of 16-year-old Michael Robertson, who was one of 2 teenagers shot that night. A 15-year-old boy was also shot and taken to the hospital in critical condition.
We believe the shooting was targeted and that there was one shooter.
The chief says because the shooting happened in the parking lot outside, the mall did not go on lockdown. Something Holden Rushing, who works in the mall, says he does not agree with.
The mall, like, they didn't really acknowledge it, or they didn't really, try and, do anything for the people inside of the mall. I feel like that's really the biggest issue.
And 11 News did reach out to the company that owns the mall for a statement, but have yet to hear back. Saturday night's fatal shooting now marks the second deadly shooting of a teenager in or outside of the mall in less than a year.
It obviously is very concerning. And I think, just, like I said, the mall just needs to be held accountable.
This isn't supposed to happen in Columbia. Like, Columbia is like one of the safest places. I was talking to family, they ride the bus. That bus stop that the shooting was at, they ride on that bus. So it's hitting really close to home.
And police say the suspect is being held without bail at the Howard County Detention Center. In Columbia, I'm Tori Yorkie, WBAL TV 11 News.
Every product Brunt makes is named after one of my buddies in the trades who inspired it and helped us design it.
Welcome back, everyone, to Good Day Utah. We do have breaking news this morning. I'm Kelly Chapman.
And I'm Dan Evans. We begin with that out of Provo. We've got some updates here for you. We have new information about an investigation after police found a woman's body in a shed yesterday afternoon.
Scott McCain is live to share what he's learned this morning. Scott.
Good morning, guys. This remains an open and active homicide investigation. Police still on scene. They first arrived here yesterday afternoon about 4:30. That was on what's called a welfare check. Typically, someone is concerned about a friend or a relative who they hadn't heard from or seen in a while. That led Provo police to this apartment here on Heather Lane in Provo. During that check, officers did indeed find a body inside a detached shed right behind the residence over there. Now, so far, no official ID on the victim, but again, it appears to be a woman, and police tell us they then quickly arrested 53-year-old Arturo Carrion at his home, his residence here. He is now in the Utah County Jail, booked in on suspicion of homicide. A neighbor telling Fox 13 News he was actually outside talking with Arturo Sunday afternoon, and an hour later, Arturo was taken away by police in handcuffs.
An hour before the cops showed up, I was out here having a smoke, and we were out here just chatting about the weather and, just this and that.
This is with Arturo.
Yeah, and it was like a shock because, he was just sitting there chatting an hour before the cops showed up, like nothing was wrong, nothing had happened.
The body was found in a shed at the rear of the property, and officers did make an arrest at the time. The suspect has been booked into the Utah County Jail on charges of murder one. We can't confirm anything about the victim right now. The Office of the Medical Examiner did remove the remains in the early hours of this morning, and they're going to continue their investigation and identification process.
Yeah, guys, detectives finishing up their investigation, focusing in particular on that shed, trying to figure out exactly how long the victim may have been there, what the cause of death may have been, and say the suspect could wind up facing additional charges. Now, according to Arturo's booking statement, the person police came here looking for is a woman reported missing out of Springville going back to late December. So this is, again, a very active investigation, a homicide investigation. You've got one person in custody, and police hope that after the autopsy is complete, they'll have some additional information to share with us. And as soon as we get it, we'll bring it to our viewers. But for now, we're live in Provo. Scott McCain, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Move over, Einstein. It doesn't take a genius to understand personal loans.
We love to see that. Chesley, thanks so much. Right now, we're continuing to follow some breaking news from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We have some new video this afternoon showing the inside of a Delta Airlines flight that had to return after passengers and crew spotted a haze inside the plane. This is a look at some of that new video. It was sent to us by someone who was on board that flight. You can see what appears to be some pretty heavy haze filling the cabin of the plane. Delta says this happened right after the plane took off. It was headed to Columbia, South Carolina, and there were 94 passengers on board, along with 2 pilots and 3 flight attendants. At last check, the airline said teams were getting customers to the terminal, but glad that everyone so far, it seems, is doing okay.
Matter of hours, a flight that was bound for New Delhi this weekend is set to complete its route after it was forced to land in Rome.
American Airlines released a statement saying the diversion was due to a possible security concern. The flight was escorted by fighter jets from the Italian Air Force as it U-turned back to Rome to undergo inspection. Since then, officials have confirmed the security threat was not credible, and the aircraft was cleared to continue on to New Delhi. Meanwhile, a Delta flight has returned to Los Angeles after being forced to make an emergency landing over the weekend. Officials say a flight headed to Sydney had to make the landing after smoke was detected on board. According to data from FlightAware, the aircraft took off just after 9 p.m. and returned to LAX 30 minutes later. Upon returning to the gate, no smoke was found. All 162 passengers were then rebooked on a different flight.
5:08 now.
Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway sold even more stocks last quarter while continuing to build up its massive cash position. The company's already record cash pile increased to $334 billion, according to its annual report. And Berkshire Hathaway was selling some of its stock holdings again for the 9th straight quarter. In his annual letter to shareholders, the 94-year-old Buffett said the majority of the company's money remains in equities, and he said shareholders can rest assured that Berkshire will, quote, forever deploy a substantial majority of their money in equities.
Use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself.
Meanwhile, overnight, the Trump administration put nearly all of USAID's 4,700 full-time employees on paid leave and is set to eliminate 1,600 of those positions as it works to dismantle the agency. USAID handles civilian foreign aid and development assistance around the world. This comes after a judge who previously blocked the government from taking action against the agency said the unions failed to prove the plan would cause irreparable harm to the laid-off workers and removed that block.
Thank you, Rena. Starbucks says it is laying off more than 1,000 corporate employees worldwide. The new chairman of the coffee chain says the move will help to streamline operations, and that also includes improving service times and reestablishing stores as community gathering spaces. Store baristas are not included in the layoff.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
Honoring a legal trailblazer, Tarrant County's first Black judge. Today, the public can pay respects to Judge L. Clifford Davis, who passed away at the age of 100. Before serving on the bench, he fought for civil rights, representing 5 Black students who were barred from attending Mansfield High School due to segregation. His work led to the integration of Mansfield and Fort Worth ISDs. His viewing is today from 10 o'clock until 7 at St. Andrew's United Methodist Church in Fort Worth.
And also new today, a career change for Lester Holt. The 65-year-old journalist is now moving to work full-time for Dateline. That will happen early this summer. He has led NBC Nightly News as the managing editor and lead anchor for the past 10 years. He's twice been named the most trusted TV personality in America. A replacement has yet to be named.
President Trump announced talk show host Dan Bongino as Deputy Director of the FBI. He will work alongside newly confirmed FBI Director Kash Patel. The Deputy Director position does not need Senate confirmation. Bongino is a former Secret Service agent. Director Patel will have some additional duties. He will also serve as acting director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. Now, there is some speculation right now that President Trump plans to merge part of ATF with the FBI. When President Joe Biden was vice president, he proposed putting ATF under the FBI to deal with mass shootings.
Better, faster, cheaper. Why only pick 2? With Finn, Intercom's AI agent for customer service, you get all 3. Better customer satisfaction and 10 times faster resolutions that are only 99 cents each. Intercom, AI first customer service.
Well, for the last 2 years, scientists at the University of Colorado have been working on what they call the world's most powerful gas sensor ever built. So the idea was born from a device that was created during the pandemic. Now, the sensor is a disease-detecting breathalyzer. To give samples, scientists say all a person would have to do is breathe into a bag. Then they take it for analysis. The device helps them identify certain molecules and detect types of cancer.
Whether or not that can be used to facilitate, say, early detection of like a disease like COPD, the leading cause of death, and many others like lung cancer.
Right now, that device is being used to analyze breath samples from sick children at Anschutz Medical Center in Colorado. One of the biggest things that the team will have to do is figure out how to make that device smaller.
Today, we are announcing the Roosevelt Hotel, which served as both our asylum arrival center and the humanitarian emergency response and relief center for nearly 2 years, will be closing in the coming months. Thanks to the successful strategies we put in place here in New York City, and because of policies we advocated for at the border. The Roosevelt Hotel was opened in May 2023 during the height of the crisis, with the city receiving an average of 4,000 arrivals each week. Now, Thanks to our policies, we're down to an average of just 350 new arrivals each week. And while we're not done caring for those who came into our care, today marks another milestone in demonstrating the immense progress we have achieved in turning the corner on the unprecedented international humanitarian effort. Our administration has skillfully managed this crisis, which has seen over 232,000 migrants enter our city asking for shelter, and the Roosevelt Hotel has been key in allowing us to effectively manage our operation, processing almost 75% of individuals that have come into our care through these doors. Now, thanks to the sound policy decisions of our team, we're able to announce the closure of this site and help even more asylum seekers take the next steps in their journeys while simultaneously saving taxpayers millions of dollars. With this closure, we're closing 53 sites within a span of a year.
Real wings have bones, and these boneless wings are actually premium chicken tender bites tossed in one of Whataburger's famous sauces.
Asking for a fresh set of eyes to review how a local police department handled the arrival, demonstration, and exit of neo-Nazis. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm Stephen Albritton.
And I'm Megan Mitchell. We're about to learn more about the role that an independent firm will play in connection with a highway demonstration that fractured relations between Lincoln Heights, Evendale, and police. WLWT News 5's Todd Dykes live for us in Evendale with more on this, Todd.
Yeah, Megan and Stephen, fractured relations and rattled nerves are the remnants of the now 2-week-old neo-Nazi demonstration that happened on a bridge over I-75 connecting the village of Evendale to Lincoln Heights. It was a dozen men carrying guns and waving flags with swastikas on them. They spent about 45 minutes on that highway overpass. Their presence drew a rapid response from residents in historically black Lincoln Heights, creating a very charged and potentially violent atmosphere. The demonstration ended when the white supremacists got into the back of a U-Haul truck and drove away, at one point following an Evendale police cruiser on a property owned by the Laughlin School District. A few days after the incident, Evendale's police chief said the focus of his officers was to de-escalate the situation without people getting hurt.
Our focus, our strategies and our efforts were entirely focused on public safety, making sure everybody was safe, from the original demonstrators to the counter protesters that showed up, and every motorist who just happened to be driving by, and every employee of every business nearby.
Now, coming up this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we're going to find out more about Evendale's decision to use an independent firm called 21CP Solutions to review what happened and provide recommendations on best practices for police officers going forward. Reporting live this noon hour here in Evendale, Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.
Use Venmo Groups to seamlessly add and pay expenses all in one place.
With the new administration and new court ruling, those paying back student loans with the student payment plan could be facing some changes. Denver 7's Wanya Reese is joining us from the Aurora campus. And Wanya, you had a chance to speak with a loan attorney. Can you break this down, what this means for a person who's maybe got a payment coming up pretty soon?
Good Monday morning to you, Anusha. I got the chance to speak with Karen Cody Hopkins, and she tells me that as of late, she has been swamped because of a recent ruling that came down from the U.S. Circuit Court. And basically what that ruling did was blocked the SAVE plan that was introduced by the Biden administration. And SAVE stands for Saving on a Valuable Education. So let's walk through this. Let's talk through this a little bit this morning. The 8th Circuit Court of Appeals agreed with the lower court that sided with 7 Republican-led states against the plan. When the SAVE plan was active, it provided borrowers with affordable income-driven repayment options on student loans, with some people getting their loans forgiven. Cody Hopkins says that right now it seems like the SAVE plan is dead, with former President Joe Biden not in office and conservatives having a stance against student debt relief. So I wanted to know, what other options will you have to pay off your student loans, and how much longer is this all going to play out? This is what Cody Hopkins explained to me.
Public service loan forgiveness is likely to survive. Might be modified, but I think the concept and its provisions are likely to survive. The time-based programs will survive. The income-based programs, there's one that was put in place by Congress. There's some others that might survive. But I would expect the end result of all of this, and I think it's going to take at least a year for it all to play out, but I think the end result is there could be fewer and more expensive repayment plans left at the end of all this.
So, Wanda, we were just hearing that we're talking about a pretty long timeline of a year to play out. So is there a way that people can start preparing from now?
The best thing that you can do is do your homework. That's what my mom would tell me growing up sometimes. And this is the homework you need to do. Go to the student aid website, stay on top of every latest development that is coming from them, and also reach out to your service provider as well. Right now, the Department of Education has not released any information about how they're going to move forward after this most recent ruling, or if they're going to be changing any of the repayment options that you may have. But you also want to make sure that you're reaching out to your servicer as well to go ahead and get signed up for one of those repayment options, because it's just a matter of time. There's a saying that I like to say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And this is one of those things that you definitely want to be ahead of, Anusha and Nicole.
Yeah, definitely, especially with so much on the line with this. So thank you so much for breaking that down, Wanye.
Taxes was paying the price.
Dozens of foreign leaders have arrived in Kyiv today to mark 3 years since Russia launched its full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. And it comes as Moscow sent a record number of drone attacks into Ukraine over the weekend. Yesterday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he's willing to step down in exchange for peace and NATO membership for his country. I want to bring in Michael Bosicki now. He's a global affairs analyst and senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. As you may see on your screen there, he joins us from Odessa in Ukraine. And it's wonderful to have you speak to us on this important topic today. As we just mentioned, Zelensky said he'd step down in exchange for peace and NATO membership. What do you make of that offer?
Good to be with you, Errol. Well, it was the headline of the day, of course, yesterday, but people I've talked to here, few actually believe it, because I think a lot of people here have sadly written off NATO membership for Ukraine. The Russians won't have it. I don't even know if weakness is the term I can use, but weakness in the Trump administration for this to happen. So in a way, to me, it was a throwaway line, but Zelensky also interestingly said that when asked about his relationship with Donald Trump, said, well, you know, it's kind of never been better, but neither leader has the right to sever the strategic partnership that the U.S. and Ukraine have. I don't know if that was goading Mr. Trump, but we'll see if he responds to it.
And why do you hesitate to use the term weakness on behalf of the Trump administration? Because what we've heard from President Trump seems to align with what the Kremlin wants from ending the war in Ukraine. And we've been reporting that that must have come as some surprise to Volodymyr Zelensky.
Well, weakness in terms of being the world leader for morals, for ethics, for diplomacy. When you tell people that Zelensky is a dictator, that he steals U.S. taxpayers' dollars, that Ukraine could someday be part of Russia, and forcing Zelensky to have elections when there's no way elections can be held during wartime, that to me is weakness. And, you know, it saddens me and many, many others, because we know very well that dictators from Caracas to, of course, the Kremlin, Beijing, Pyongyang, Tehran, are looking at this very carefully and saying, maybe there aren't any solid red lines anymore enforced by the United States, and we can do what we like. So it almost seems, Errol, that, you know, the rules-based international order is in a free fall because of that.
And we've got just under a minute left with you, Michael, but you're in Odessa. This is a key port city. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in day-to-day life in the time that you've been there?
Sure, very quickly. Well, I mean, you know, a lot of Ukrainians tell me they're fatigued, but they use this Ukrainian word nezlamnosti, which means invincibility, is that there's no way they're going to accept Russian occupation. But, you know, having said that, you know, with the nightly air raid alarms, with the way the economy is, a lot of movers and shakers have left Odessa. It's sad to see that happen. The other thing quickly is you mentioned the USAID funding cutbacks. That has really impacted Ukraine. It was the #1 recipient since the start of the war, $35 billion. East Europe Foundation, which I'm familiar with, they've had to basically reevaluate whether they're going to, build bomb shelters for schools, mine awareness training, that sort of thing. So it's a very sad time, but the hope is still there that they can fight back.
Michael Bossack, we appreciate you connecting with us and giving us some of your insight there from Odessa just past